oppose those who are spiteful and envious. We are not Tunisia or Egypt. We, the Libyan people, are completely different. That is not to belittle other peoples, but we have our own means. Yes, there are many demands. The position is clear with the executive establishment in Libya. Saif al-Islam has a reformist approach. The leader has been urgent for dealing with many matters which you are all aware of.
Meanwhile, in Bahrain, thousands of people have returned to Pearl Roundabout, the centre of anti-government protests and the scene of two separate attacks last week by security forces. Police and soldiers have now left the area. Bahrain's government says talks with opposition groups are underway, but as James Bays reports from Manama, many protesters say the time for talking is over.
The Pearl Roundabout, the place that's become a symbol of protest in Bahrain, back in the hands of thousands of people. This had for a time become a closed military zone, the place where soldiers had fired live rounds, rubber bullets and tear gas at protesters. When the army were pulled out, it looked as if the riot police would stand firm. As the protesters gathered again, the authorities blocked the routes with barbed wire. An officer tried to address the crowd, but he was drowned out by the chanting. Suddenly, the police line began to move. They'd received new orders and got into their vehicles, starting to drive away. The crowd took their chance. The last policemen were chased off by protesters, armed only with flowers. There was nothing to stop the rush to the Pearl Roundabout, and the crowd began celebrating.
After the massacre that has occurred here, the Pearl Roundabout holds a very big symbol to all Bahraini peoples over here. It reminds them, it gives them hope for victory.
The army and police have withdrawn. Thousands of people are back at this roundabout. The government may believe they've made concessions which set the stage for talks, but it's clear many of these people don't want to negotiate.
We reject all negotiations because of the blood, what happened here, scattered everywhere. There are a lot of people dead, and we are asking for moving this country, for this government. They don't love their people. Forever, forever, and forever, we will stay here. We will stay here forever, because it's our country.
The protesters are back at the Pearl, but this country's problems are a long way from being solved. The violence of the last few days has only increased the determination of many here to change this country forever. James Bays, AlJazeera, Bahrain.
Riot police have also clashed again with anti-government protesters in Algeria's capital. Officers broke up a rally after thousands gathered in the centre of Algiers. Police disrupted a similar rally last week, which was organised to call for better living conditions and greater freedom. Government supporters have also been taking to the streets, adding to the tension.
We have a president. We are not against him. We are not against His Excellency, the President of the Republic.
How can she speak against the march? The president doesn't give us anything. He's a stealer. They're all stealers.
And police in Kuwait have fired tear gas at protesters described as stateless long-term residents. They're demanding citizenship, free education, healthcare and jobs, benefits that are available to all Kuwaiti nationals. Protesters sang the Kuwaiti anthem and chanted slogans such as "We are Kuwaitis." Counting of votes in Uganda is underway after Friday's election. President Yoweri Museveni is hoping to extend his 25-year rule. Official numbers are expected on Sunday, but early results are projecting a landslide win for him. Mohamed Ado is in Kampala.
President Museveni has taken an early lead in votes already counted and tallied. Election officials say the margin between him and his most formidable challenger, Kizza Besigye, is so wide that President Museveni is on his way to giving himself a new 5-year term in office. That will make his rule of Uganda 30 good years. The opposition have already started complaining. They say the vote is rigged.
And I'm sure you have been shown, many of you, a sample of the predict ballots which were being carried around by some of Museveni's supporters. Predict in favor of Mr. Museveni. These were found out just outside the polling stations.
Security has been tightened in and around the capital city, Kampala, where majority of the opposition supporters are. There are fears that the opposition would bring people out to protest against the victory of President Yoweri Museveni. And the government is saying it's not taking any chances and will not allow any such demonstrations to take place.
We'll be revisiting our top story in a moment.
Obama, you have to stand up. Mr. Obama, Libyans are getting massacred and killed.
Libyan Americans call on the US president to step in. Also coming up.
In South Africa, so many men are compelled to commit rape that statistically a woman here is more likely to be raped than to learn to read. We find out why.
Hello, we've got no less than 3 storms affecting Australasia at the moment. We've got the remnants of Tropical Cyclone Carlos still bringing extremely wet weather across the Northern Territory, northern parts of Northern Territory, and that will run its way down towards the northwestern corner of the country. And then we have Tropical Cyclone Diane. It's just offshore, so this should pose no problems as such. And then on the other side of the Coral Sea, very close to Vanuatu, we have what is now known as Tropical Cyclone Atu. Again, that should stay offshore. I don't think we'll see too much wet weather heading towards Vanuatu, but certainly the chance of some very wet weather over the next couple of days as it slides its way further southwards. Coming back into Australia, we've got some heavy rain into the interior. There's our very wet weather which will persist across northwestern parts over the coming days. For the southeast, some rain coming into Sydney, 32 Celsius on Sunday. Bit of a change as that rain nudges its way further northwards. 10-degree drop, so highs of around 22 Celsius as we go into the new working week. For New Zealand over the next couple of days, it's largely fine and dry, but I think for the South Island, some wet and windy weather trying to push its way in. Not too bad, though, for much of the country. And I think Auckland, the North Island, will see some very pleasant weather and a good deal of sunshine. For much of Southeast Asia, it's sunshine and showers with heavy rain for Borneo.
An uprising on the streets, showing no sign of relenting. Protesters united in their defiance of the regime. As demonstrations continued for a third week, President Mubarak remained unmoved. But how much longer could he ignore the demands of his people and hold on to power? In a day-by-day account, we look at the events that changed Egypt, from those that witnessed them firsthand. Fall of Mubarak, at this time on Al Jazeera.